Hey everybody, this is your friendly neighborhood strider here, and I am bringing you another Monday Night Combat. Oh, sorry, Monday Night Commentary. Oh man, little wordplay that I had set up in the beginning is now being the death of me whenever I start these commentaries. Anyways, as you can see, this is not Monday Night Combat. I'm just sticking with, the naming convention I've done, and I really do these commentaries on a weekly basis on Mondays. But as you can see, this is Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I believe I will take the time in this video to talk about the game itself. I beat it last week, and it took me a while to get around to this. So, Deus Ex Human Revolution, what's the big deal, huh? Truthfully, I will say right now, I just knew that Human Revolution was going to be kind of a big deal. Unfortunately, I was never much of a PC gamer back in the day, so, if you know anything about Deus Ex if you know anything about Deus Ex itself, you know that it gets as much hype as it does because the first Deus Ex was just the shit for PC games. So, unfortunately, or rather not unfortunately, I still gave it a try knowing that it was a big deal in PC, but I never played the original, so I got Human Revolution. And honestly, I decided to give it a try because I believe I read an article from EGM, believe it or not. I believe they had an article about it, Human Revolution, and it really interested me. It's pretty much the same thing that the first Deus Ex boasted before, which was open-ended levels despite the linearity. I mean, that's what it really is. I mean, if people talk about how open-ended Deus Ex is, that's really what it is about. It's a series of linear missions, but they present the solution to you in a non-linear fashion. So right now, the majority of this video takes place in Hongshuo, China, and pretty much these are just the opening missions of when you first enter China after a couple missions in Detroit. You play as I guess the security specialist Adam Jensen, the most gravelly voiced protagonist I have ever heard. His voice is pretty much Batman.
Been right about that trap. Hengsha Court Garden is under lockdown by Bell Tower Associates.
Bell Tower?
I mean, listen to that voice. There's no way somebody naturally speaks like that. You gotta. It's like he eats gravel and rocks for breakfast every day just so he can have that voice naturally. So, anyways, open-ended mission structure. Right now, right there, you see, I need to get into the hotel district, but those corporate flunkies are guarding the entrance for some reason. If you were really bored or really straightforward, you could have just shot them and killed them and just made your way in, and it would be a shooting segment. But I decided to go with a stealth route. Probably not the smartest stealth route ever, because I actually miss the second grate in this area, so I am forced into a combat situation later on. But hey, as you can see, I have the stun gun here. I picked up the stun gun first when I started the game in the first mission. So, what more is there to talk about Human Revolution? Well, besides the fact that I loved it, even though it's mostly even though it's a linear game. I mean, technically it's a linear game, but the game does present you with a whole slew, all sorts of different, choices and decisions that changes the game how you play. Along with the fact that the first time I played the game, I could not find. Here we go. I could not find the gun dealers, the gun dealers of China. So I did not get a lot of cool weapons on my first time through. All the weapons I found just happened to be lying around. So I was forced to usually either pick up the weapons my enemies dropped or go to Grayson, who was a gun dealer in Detroit. But as you can see here, half of the stealth segment I have performed, and now they know I'm around, so I am forced into combat. Gun combat is pretty satisfying. Majority of the first, it is a first-person. It is mostly Well, let me just say this first. The first-person segments, first-person shooting, it reminds me a lot of Fallout in the sense that it works to an extent, but you shouldn't depend on it. First, the sensitivity. It's hard to dial in the sensitivity you'd want in this game in order to get first-person aiming mechanics down. It's pretty hard. And second of all, Adam Jensen dies pretty quickly. His health is regenerating, as you can see right here, but he takes damage really quickly, and he doesn't heal as quickly as you like compare it to Call of Duty. Luckily, you have these instant takedowns that are pretty easy to pull off as long as you have the battery, as long as the battery meter is full, which is right there under my health bar. As you can see, the majority of gunplay you will experience will probably be from cover-based combat, as popularized by Gears of War 3 and Gears of War. Why am I talking like that? Anyways, as you can see, you'll be relying on cover a lot since Adam Jensen dies really quickly. Right now, I am right in the red. I am forced to take a. I tried eating those energy bars, which would restore my battery bar quickly, but unfortunately he was out of range for my takedown and he put another slug of shotguns in my face. So, bad times all around. So, trying this segment again. Of course, I realized later that if I had just stayed on the first floor there was another security grate I could have snuck through, and that would have made my life much easier. But hey, I have these guns, I might as well put them to good use, am I right? Now, one reason I want to, I've already beaten the game. It was extremely enjoyable. The main story does not change a whole lot. I mean, the ending sequence choices, the ending choices at the end of the game are pretty static. You'll have these choices presented to you at the very end of the game. What happens en route to that ending does not change. It's not like, I don't know, like vital characters are still around or something like that. You still have the major choices that you'll come across. But don't get me wrong. Major decisions, even trivial decisions you make throughout this game, have really concrete consequences and outcomes. For example, for one time, I had to enter a morgue in order to identify an enemy's body, of course, but something shady was going on, and I wasn't allowed to see the body. Not through normal means, anyways. So, I was forced to either force my way in or talk my way in, but fortunately, I was able to talk my way in, much to the behest of the secretary in charge of it, because he seriously would have gotten in trouble if anyone found out that he let anyone in. So, I diplomacied my way into the morgue, but later on in the game, he shows up mad, saying he lost his job because someone found out about how I blackmailed, sure, I talked to him, and I convinced him to let me through, but, I pretty much blackmailed him at the end of the conversation. And he's pretty mad. He shows up angry that I blackmailed him, blackmailed my way into the morgue, and he pulls a gun on me and tries to kill me. Of course, I had a full battery bar, so I just stabbed the ever-living shit out of him. But it was a really interesting consequence. There are real decisions in this game, and there are real consequences, which is really refreshing because they happen in a very natural way. Not like maybe, for example, Fallout. In Fallout 3, maybe certain decisions you make don't really happen. Like, they don't really reappear all that naturally. Like, for example, obviously you have the choice to free the super mutant you meet in one of the vaults. And, the choice is obvious. If you free him, something good happens. If you don't free him, he just stays in there. It's pretty straightforward. He may show up, you become a recruitable partner, stuff like that. But in the example I just told you, it was much more natural. There are consequences to my actions. That consequence being the fact that I blackmailed my way into the morgue, and he shows up later demonstrating that he got fired and he is not happy about it, and he's a cop, so he has guns. So right here, I just figured out there were guards on the second floor. I was wondering why I still had a hostile notification on my radar, and I just realized there were guards at the top floor that aren't all that important. I can just head to the elevator, but unfortunately I decided to go after them, and I don't think that's the smartest idea, as I find out later on. There are health upgrades that you can use, and I'm not sure how that didn't kill him. Point blank shotgun to the face, and he shot me 3 times with a pistol. Anyways, while I'm talking about health upgrades, I might as well talk about the augmentations and how absolutely fun they are. Since the focus of my character was stealth, I of course went with a lot of stealth-oriented type of upgrades. Some upgrades are questionable, other upgrades are totally important if you really want to enhance your playthrough. Others are kind of debatable for the experience, but they're still kind of fun. You know, first stealth upgrade you can come across, first obvious stealth upgrade is the actual stealth upgrade. It gives you several HUD upgrades in a similar fashion to, you know, Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell, where you get the enemy markers, last known position markers, vision cone of sight markers on enemies, that kind of stuff. That stuff is useful, but it's not all that necessary. As long as you're smart about how... I don't know how that missed. As long as you're smart about how you play your stealth, the actual stealth upgrade is completely unnecessary. On the other hand, the cloaking upgrade that you can also... the cloaking augmentation you can get, it is actually, well, of course, really useful. I mean, you can turn invisible. It's really fun. But of course, you can't rely on some of these, well, for the cloaking augmentation, you can't rely on it all the time. You can only, even when fully maxed out, a single battery bar will only give you 7 seconds of complete invisibility. When you first upgrade, it's only 3, so it's kind of painful. But it just teaches you to ration your invisibility, move between cover often, yada yada yada. You know, too long didn't read. The augmentations in this game are really fun ways to enhance and change the way you play the game. Of course, you also have, you know, durable shielding. That's pretty much extra health. The debatable augmentation I was talking about is basically, for what comes to mind, is the Casey mod, or the social enhancer. This mod pretty much gives you extra HUD readouts whenever you perform conversation, what do you call them? Yeah, let's just call them conversation battles. Several times throughout the game, you'll be presented with, you know, a battle of words with NPCs. And it's up to you to try to figure out the best way to smooth talk your way through these people, because they hold important information that you probably won't get if you just force them with, you know, bullets. Later on in the video, you'll see me talking to a criminal gang lord, and I'm trying to extract information out of him in a, you know, a conversation battle. It's pretty reminiscent of how Mass Effect conversations work, except you aren't locked into, you know, Paragon or Renegade responses if you have enough of Paragon or Renegade score, etc., etc. These conversation battles actually work off the principle that, I mean, these conversation battles actually present you with a number of possible answers, and it's up to you to recognize how your participant is reacting, how they think, and choose the best possible answer in order to get what you want out of them. And basically, the Casey mod streamlines the process by providing you with a real-time feed of information on your target. For example, when I was talking to Tong, the criminal gang lord, Casey mod provided me with information that this guy is pretty much, I believe the Casey mod said that he is a gang lord who really very much enjoys manipulating other people. And he tends to become more defensive when his personality traits are being called into question. The Casey mod gives you things like that, and it's really interesting how you can use this information to help give you more educated guesses on how you should approach this sort of careful diplomacy situation that you've been presented with. Right here, we're pretty much almost to that diplomacy section I was talking about. Of course, right here, I'm trying to get into a club known as the Hive. Of course, it is a club, restricted access, so I can't exactly walk in. I have a bouncer here I have to go through.
You telling me I gotta pay to get into this dive?
Yaoi is, by the way, kind of like Gringo, but for China.
Just anyone with the money.
No pay, no play. You want in or not?
Maybe another time.
All right, your business. You come.
You're not from around here either, are you?
So yeah, I wasn't exactly going to shell out credits for that, because you can do a lot with your credits. I mean, besides from buying guns and upgrades, of course, you can also buy praxis points, which are pretty much experience upgrades. I mean, the points that you use in order to buy your augmentations, like cloak, and right a few seconds before, dermal armor or extra health. So I wasn't exactly going to waste my credits on that. Here I am. I'm just wandering around China, thinking. Right now, I'm trying to guess how I can get into the club alternatively without, of course, killing the doorman. But any amount of creative exploration, especially when using a map, there are a surprising amount of air vents in the future. You'd think they'd make at least make the air vents smaller in the future, but there are a lot of air vents, and because you are an augmented human being, they all glow gold just for you, just for your HUD. So I'm realizing in the back, there's probably something in the back because there's nothing else for me to do. Just looking around, that door is not glowing, those boxes are glowing. Wait a minute, those boxes are very suspicious. Grab them, voila. Air vent. Just like magic, there's an air vent for me. Now I can sneak into the club. So, that kind of encapsulates one of the points about Deus Ex. There is a lot of choice, and the game rewards that choice. Obviously, I could be straightforward and either buy my way into the club or beat the living shit out of the club bouncer at the front, but both would have been risky. I mean, roughing them up would have called a lot of attention, and buying my way in would have obviously cost credits, which are kind of valuable. But with a little bit of exploring, the game rewards me by giving me a free ticket in, and none's the wiser. By the way, what do you think of these Chinese accents? I think they're okay, but they're still kind of, sitcom-ish. So, my personal, I wanted to describe why I like Deus Ex, but it's still pretty simple to just say I think this game is awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of a mix between maybe a proper first-person shooter action game like Halo or Call of Duty, mixed with Fallout, the kind of free-form choices and conversations and quests of Fallout. And before I forget, here is a conversation part with Tong I mentioned before. As you can see, the Casey mod is bringing up all sorts of interesting information like personality archetypes on the left, Alpha, Omega, Beta. You got personality traits on the right, general personality traits in the upper right, and the persuasion meter, which gives you a rough outlook on how well your persuasion is going.
You know him?
Also, of course, while the Casey mod provides all of this, it also, free of charge, provides you with pheromones to unload. These pheromones, these pheromones pretty much match up to the Alpha, Beta, and Omega personality archetypes that the mod presents you with.
So stop wasting my time. and
by
take me
releasing
to
the
Tom.
pheromones that match up. For example, you saw earlier there was 3 bars of alpha. If I release alpha pheromones, there's a very high chance that the persuasion will go through correctly because the alpha pheromones easily influence him and give me what I want.
Damn right. Van Bruggen had a whole
Right
team
now I'm
from
just trying to
Belltower waiting
feel
for
out
him in
which
his apartment.
conversation choice I
You
should
obviously
pick.
have no idea
This is
how
based
deep
on
goes, so get out of the way
you just-
and let me see Tom.
the personality read,
Stop asking nice.
personality feed that I receive
Taking
is
the
indeed
non-subtle
extremely
way,
helpful.
are we? Fine.
If you don't want to rely on the
You must know
pheromones, because believe me, the
Tom is
pheromones
watching
are
Van
extremely
Bruggen's
powerful.
situation very carefully.
The personality feed does give you good hints on how to approach a conversation, because
Van
just like
Bruggen
Mass
is more
Effect,
than just a
the
habit.
general conversation,
He
the
trained
general
in
point of the
counterintelligence.
conversation will be the same,
He's got
but how you
boards,
go about it
identities, secure
with
bank
Adam
accounts,
Jensen's
and
conversation
safe houses
choices
all
will be
over the
different.
world.
For example, I could
He's already
berate them,
decided to
or
take
I could
it.
try
I
to
guarantee
praise
you
them.
never
I can
find it.
sympathize and empathize, or I could be just direct and blunt about it. These different conversation choices, these conversations in Deus Ex kind of feel like boss fights, and they're way more enjoyable. These conversation bosses are way more enjoyable than the actual
that
bosses
bodyguard
that
over there?
you actually fight.
If you're gonna play
They,
tricks on
the
my
boss
level,
fights
you
in
gotta
Deus
train
Ex are
people better.
kind of fall flat.
Everything about him is shouting out who you really are, Mr. Tong. Now, how about we go someplace private? Unless
And
you
of course,
let
all of
Bruggen
this
know what
is
you're hiding.
still optional. I mean, the Casey mod simply makes these conversations easier.
Fine.
If you're following a FAQ or a
I'll meet you in
guide,
my office
it's pretty much unnecessary
downstairs
to
in the
spend
basement.
the practice
The boys
points
will let
on the
you
Casey
through.
mod. But still, I don't like reading guides, especially on the first way through. So, I bought the Casey mod, and I was extremely satisfied because it makes the experience so much richer. It's pretty much the story of Deus Ex. The game is extremely rich and rewarding for people who think outside the box. And right here, I'm just getting revenge at the bouncer who wouldn't let me in. Well, maybe it's not revenge because he told me straight up it would cost money, but oh well. Should've let me in, bro. Yoink! And, well, at least the cops weren't looking, but of course, people don't exactly think you're a nice guy after that.
Jensen, I was on my way out.
What are you doing here, Malik? I told you I got this one.
I know. I didn't do anything. Trust me. Van Bruggen's all yours.
Hang on a second. Something's wrong. What is it? Why are you here?
It's nothing. I mean, can't a girl have secrets?
Now, when it comes to the story of Deus Ex, it's pretty good. I mean,
Malik.
it's pretty much advertised
Jensen, if
as
you even
a
think of using that Casey
sci-fi,
mod on me,
you
I
know,
will hit you.
sci-fi conspiracy theory
wouldn't
kind of
dream of it.
thing.
I'm just concerned, that's all.
And
Fine, since you're so damn curious. Years ago, I used to
that
live
was a
here,
pretty
remember?
funny moment right here.
My friend,
Trying to
my
cheat my
best
way
friend,
through with the Casey
Evelyn.
mod, and then I
She was like a
just
sister to me.
immediately get shut
lived right
down
here
by
in
my
her farm.
partner.
But then there was
Who,
an
by the
accident.
way, is an important character who
She's
is
dead.
not above
sorry,
being
Malik.
affected by the
Wait,
game
Jensen, let me
story.
finish.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
it was
I've
okay
already
with you,
posted
but
that video,
I
but
knew.
it's entirely possible
I
for
know she didn't just
bad
die.
things to happen
She
to
was
the people
killed.
around you that you
Murdered.
think are
Her damn
key
scumbag
characters.
boyfriend did it. I know he did. I knew he was trouble right from the start, but she just wouldn't listen to me.
Now, the
Malik,
story is
easy.
okay. I mean,
If
as
your
far
friend
as
was murdered,
conspiracy
the police would have suspected
conspiracy
something.
theory
They would have
game stories
investigated.
go,
That's just
but
it. There was no
you know,
investigation.
I don't exactly
They said
follow
she fell
it
down
all
a
the
flight
way
of
around.
stairs like
I
it was
mean,
some kind of
this
freak
is a
accident.
conspiracy
But
theory
her
we're
wounds,
talking
the way
about.
she died, they don't add up.
So,
It's right
you
here
know,
in
it's
the
not like
damn
you can
blood
follow
splatter
every
analysis.
single minute of it.
Blood
I mean,
splatter.
of course, I
You've
can
seen the
see the
police
big
report?
plot
Yes.
spoilers,
I
like
got a
say,
copy
oh
of it in a
wow,
body pick
that's
up.
amazing. I totally didn't expect
I know
that.
it sounds crazy,
But the more
I
subtle
think-
things
I think
that
there's
are,
been a
go
cover.
on, it
I
might
just
go
have to
over your
find it.
head.
If I could get my hands
But
on the autopsy
at
report,
least
the
the
one that
larger
surfaced,
themes about
I
this
know
game
it
comes
was
through
here.
pretty loud and clear, especially by the end.
Why do I
The
suspect
game,
I'm about to get
the
dragged into
end
this
game
fight?
choice
Look,
of
Jensen,
Deus Ex
I'm
Human
sorry. I
Revolution
know
pretty
Van
much
Bruggen is the priority
encapsulates
here, and I told you it was
the
my business
core
and I could take
conflict
care
of this
It's just-
game, which is
the more I think
also
about it, the
central
more
to
I
the
realize
conflict
I'm
of
in over
Adam
my
Jensen
head.
as a character.
I'm just a pilot,
You know,
I'm not a damn cop.
Seems like
But I
human
need to know the
progress,
truth.
science and progress at the expense of morality, restriction, corporate restriction,
This autopsy
at
report.
the
Once you
expense
got
of
your hands on it,
progress,
What were you planning on doing next?
the dangers of
I-
tampering with
I'm
science
not
and
sure.
progress
Like I
and
said, I'm a
evolution as a
pilot,
whole.
not a cop. But I just
And of course,
felt I had to do something
the
while I
special
had the chance.
last choice,
Maybe once
which
you read
I
the report and you know what it
probably
says, we can
said more than I
help
should
us.
have right now.
Okay, I'll help. What do you need me to do?
My lead, he works for Lim. He's a systems
Anyways,
technician who apparently has
I think I
access
pretty
to
much
their
talked
entire
out.
database.
For the rest of the
He's
video,
willing
we'll
to
just
hand
let it
over a
play
copy
out.
of Evelyn's autopsy
Deus
report.
Ex is,
You
I
want me to
think,
meet him?
very suitable for
Is that
YouTube.
it?
Yes, but
Story
he'll
is
only
cool
respond to
for
a
Let's
certain
Play,
phrase.
and there's plenty of action
Death
for the
and life
person who
have
just
their
wants to watch
determined
things getting blown
appointments.
up and shit.
To which he'll reply, riches
Too long,
and
didn't
honors
read at
depend
25
upon
mark.
heaven.
Christ, Malik, this is starting to sound
Deus
like
Ex
something
Human
out of a bad
Revolution
spy
is
movie.
extremely enjoyable
No,
game.
He's just trying to protect himself.
It provides you
I
with a
didn't
lot
write the
of
damn quote.
rewarding
So just play
experience.
along
It
and remember the
rewards
line, okay?
rewards
You'll find it
thought
inside the lobby of the
and
lower Hangzhou
careful
basement.
decision making.
Does this guy
Has a
have a
lot of
name?
choices to give you,
None that I
even
know
though
of.
it's a shooter
But
and
he
the
apparently
shooting
goes by the
mechanics
handle
are pretty
Anonymous
solid.
X.
A,
I know.
variety of
Anonymous
interesting weapons
X.
that can be upgraded and changed.
Okay.
They can't be
Anything else?
altered,
Yeah,
you know,
before
in
I
the
forget,
sense of like, you know,
everything concerning
maybe
Evelyn's
I think I'll just use Call of Duty as an
incident,
example again.
newspaper
You can't
articles,
alter them in the
police
sense of
report,
like
Lim
attach
details, all
extended
is
mags or
at
attach
009
red dot sights, things like that.
You should
Most of the
read over
weapons in
everything
Deus
if
Ex
you
are
can.
have pretty much
Alright.
straightforward
Got
upgrade
it.
trees,
I need to go.
but
Contact me with any updates, and
every weapon also has, you know,
I really appreciate
unique
Jensen.
weapon upgrades that aren't available to be used on other weapons. For example, the 10mm pistol has a armor piercing upgrade that you can attach to it, which is unique to just the 10mm pistol. And the Magnum has exploding rounds, which is awesome. I love that gun.
Forget it, man.
Gunplay and action is pretty fun. The story is fun. Levels are
Some friends of yours I met in
of
the
course
So
of
you
course
read
they're
it.
linear, but you're presented with all sorts of different ways to approach the game.
Just the heck. Where's this
You can either go in
guy
guns
made?
blazing and take your risks with cover-based gameplay in order to survive the destructive enemies who will just tear through Adam Jensen, or you can be stealthy about it and try to sneak around like I did most of the time.
Especially after
Or you
she
can
told
also
me
just
to
try
hide
to
behind my back.
explore the game. You know, for example, later on I enter a lab.
Medical CEO.
I could either A, shoot my way through, B, stealth my way through, which are the obvious choices, or C, you could actually bother to explore the lab and find an important passport,
Blackmail, extortion. Anything she can do
find an
to
important, you know,
destabilize
card that provides you with clearance to enter the area that you need to get in. With this card, the guards wouldn't have a problem with you entering a restricted access area because you have the clearance to enter it, therefore making combat and stealth completely negligible because, well, you can just walk in and be done with
Things
it.
got hot before I could move it.
You know, exploration is key in Deus Ex as much as anything else. Conversation, thought, decision making, etc., etc.
Need an employee card encoded with your biometrics.
So, if you have the chance, give this game a
Let
chance.
me guess.
It's a really fun
Tell
game.
me where to get one.
It definitely belongs in the PC. All the time while I was playing this game on the Xbox, it definitely felt like it was a PC game that was carefully ported over to the console. I mean, it's one of those games where you have a use button, you know, and games with a use button definitely
I
have
was there when you flatlined
different
that
gameplay
bullet.
mechanics that
I think
aren't
I'm gonna trust you.
quite the same as you'd feel in other games of similar genres, shooting and story and platforming. So it's an extremely interesting experience on console or PC, whatever you want. Deus Ex Human Revolution is a great game. Go out and play it. Have fun with it. The replay value is even great because, like I said, I want to play through this game again a different way. It's that much fun. This has been Strider Hong. Hope you enjoyed it, guys, because I know I did. Later, guys.
It doesn't happen often, folks, but it I may have contacted me to deny allegations of involvement in secret United